I'd like to bring in a quotation from the late, great Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who felt very strongly that to be a professional, a true professional, was to contribute to the community, to build the community, to make life better for people in the community. And so she's quoted as saying, "That's what I think a meaningful life is, living not for oneself, but for one's community."
I first heard of Stitch because quite early on, I think very shortly after Stitch became a reality, a friend gave me a pin, a Stitch Buffalo pin.
What drew me to Stitch was as much the volunteering aspect as the cultural aspect of the particular women who were involved with Stitch.
I had been following Stitch on Instagram before I moved here, so the combination of fiber arts and refugee support really appealed to me.
The exciting part about Stitch Buffalo's mission is that it is rooted in something that's very tangible. It's rooted in the textile arts and empowering people through the community of cross-cultural exchange, of building community through an artistic practice.
Love how we're just embracing all of these crafts and then bringing in the immigrant women, but then also with Second Stitch having other people have a chance to live their craft dreams also. And then just connecting people through Stitch is just a really important part of their mission that I'm very connected to.
I love when I leave the refugee camp, and the refugee camp when I leave it, the name is Mela camp, and I was born in the refugee camp, and when I go to school when I'm 6th grade, and I learned the embroidery at school. On every week on Friday is 30 minutes every week. And when I come back home, I try to practice by myself too. First, I try to draw the flower, and then I try to stitch it, and then later I try to do the pillowcase. The teacher, when they talk to me, it's only a little bit flower, but I think about that, and then when I try to draw the flower, I can stay by myself.
One of the beautiful things that Stitch Buffalo has brought into my life is the ability to get to know refugee women from the community. And while we may not speak the same language or have much in common in our backgrounds, we really are all united through this love of creativity and craftsmanship. And I am always impressed with the beautiful work that they bring in here, the new ideas they have, the way that they transform these really simple materials into amazing products. It inspires my creativity, and I think it really has made me a more compassionate and understanding person. In addition to decorating my home really beautifully, I have to say, with some really gorgeous works of art that were created right here by hands that I know and using supplies that just could have been waste otherwise and are now something truly beautiful.
There's a bell on the door and you hear that bell ring, and the first thing for me is when you walk in, it's oh my God, creativity. Everywhere you look, there's color and design, and it's so amazing because every one of the pieces is different than any other piece. Each one's unique to that woman, that's her expression. And then when you look closely at the pieces, I think I'm gonna cry. When you look closely at the pieces, the craftsmanship, the quality is it's phenomenal. It really is.
The story with the house blessing is really interesting. The person who stitches it puts their love and best wishes for you, for the person who buys it, with every stitch that they put into the item. But every piece of felt or every bead is another wish for health and happiness of the people who live here. The ways that Stitch Buffalo benefits the women are manifold. One, first of all, is simply putting the materials in their hands and giving them the opportunity to create designs that are their own. We don't give them patterns. We don't tell them what stitches to use. This is all of their own ideas. And so now, we have a process where we have this point of sale system where every single item in our inventory that's been entrusted to us, we have a record of and a barcode assigned to it. And so we know what we have from each woman, we know what we sell for each woman, and then we just run a report, and then we know what check to generate for that woman.
ကျမအနေနဲ့ထူးထူးတော့ပြောစရာတော့ဘာမှမရှိပါဘူးအားလုံးအဆင်ပြေပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့လည်းနောက်လဲပေါ့နော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးကိုရောင်းရတဲ့ဟာတွေကိုပေါ့နော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးစီရင်လို့ပြီးမှပေးရင်တော့အော်ငါဟာဒါရောင်းရတယ်ပေါ့နော်ငါဟာအဲ့ဒါရောင်းရတယ်ဆိုပြီးမှပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါကိုကြည့်ပြီးမှကျမအရန်ဝမ်းတာမိပါတယ်နောက်တချို့လူလည်းပြောတာပေါ့နော်ကိုဘာရောင်းရတဲ့ဟာကိုအဲ့လိုမျိုးစီရင်ပြုစုပေးရင်တော့သူတို့လည်းအရန်ဝမ်းတာတယ်လို့ကျမတငယ်ချင်းတွေလည်းအဲ့လိုမျိုးပြောတာပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါပဲကျမပြောချင်ပါတယ်ထူးတော့ဘာမှမရှိပါအားလုံးအဆင်ပြေပါတယ်နောက်ပြီးမှဒီကဆရာမကြီးတွေလည်းပေါ့နော်အရန်စိတ်ရှည်နဲ့ကျမတို့ကိုလှုပ်ပေးတဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မို့ဘာပြောစရာမလိုဘူးလို့ကျမအရန်ဝမ်းသာပါတယ်လို့
One of the things that not drew me to Stitch but kept me at Stitch was the environment here. The sharing and the caring and the laughter and the immediate openness and acceptance and learning each from the other. And I mean, women like me who volunteered and the women who came from the refugee community here, there was never a sense of somebody was better than somebody else, somebody knew more than somebody else. What everybody knew and had and brought and joked about was as valued as anybody else. It was just such an attitude of weaving all of us together as an almost invisible garment here.
Opportunities for us in this country to volunteer. They're everywhere because there's so much need and so many different places. But there's very, very few opportunities where we're receiving something. And that is so important to always be on the accepting end. I mean, it's great that people are giving, but it also has a sort of underlying message that you're unable. And so this puts these women in a position that says, I am able, not please help me.
I think people should get involved with Stitch Buffalo because there are multiple facets to this organization. Of course, there is the Refugee Women's Workshop where you can come in and appreciate everything that the artisans create. You can support them by purchasing things in the store. They also run some of the community classes and workshops, so you can get to know them through that experience. Our community classes and workshops range when it comes to embroidery and dyeing classes, and we're going to expand on that. And then Second Stitch is a very, very cool program where we are upcycling materials so that we're not wasting any product, so people can create their own exciting artistic textile arts at home with reused materials that people donate here.
As sustainability manager, my job at Stitch Buffalo is to manage our intake of supply donations. I work with volunteers to help sort them into categories according to what can be used in the projects that are created by Stitch Buffalo and what can be sold back to the community at discount prices to keep these materials in the hands of artists and out of landfills.
I'm from this neighborhood, and all of my relatives have moved out of this neighborhood, and it means a lot to me personally to be able to be involved in something like this that keeps Buffalo, and particularly the west side of Buffalo, vibrant.
There's a sense of community that exists here with the women, with their families, with the volunteers, with the people like Dawn and Michelle and Sherry. With all of you, it's like, it feels really safe here and it feels really, really comfortable. Like you've created a space that it's just a joy to be here.
Well, Stitch Buffalo would not be literally in this building, literally have a home if it wasn't for Rich Products. The larger community, the Buffalo community, opened its heart and took Stitch to their heart. They support Stitch by buying products, by donating supplies, by volunteering here. But Rich's brought us home. So thank you, Rich's.
I'm not a sewer. I'll be the first to admit. Although I'm the president of this board, my expertise is in the performing arts and not in textile arts, but I have a huge appreciation for what the textile arts brings to the table when it comes to community engagement and education and conversation and that cross-cultural exchange. That's what the arts do.
Since 2014, Stitch Buffalo has been weaving its way into the social fabric of the Buffalo community, deeply and authentically connecting with the neighborhood. Stitch Buffalo provides tremendous benefit to the neighborhood, and we continue to strive to create a textile arts center on the west side, giving us an opportunity to expand all three of our programs. The Refugee Women's Workshop, connecting with more refugee women, connecting with a wider community through our workshop offering, as well as providing a studio facility, and providing daily access for our Second Stitch program. We believe that through shared creativity, an organization like Stitch Buffalo can activate social change and unite us as a community. I invite you to please stitch with us.